back to Max Keiser, host of The Oracle on BBC, maxkeiser.com. Okay, Max, you got cut off by the break. Briefly, recap for folks listening the magnitude of what you were just talking about, the issue of you've got UBS, this big Swiss bank, supposedly with all these accounts, so it gets a $700-something million fine, but then $5 billion of taxpayer money bailout.
Right. So in other words, AIG, which we all know, AIG is this huge, insurance company, so-called, but it's really something else. The AIG, what their main business was creating what are called credit default swaps, and I'll get into that in a second. But basically, the reason why AIG needed $180 billion worth of bailouts was because these credit default swaps were proven to be, counterfeit and bogus. So the government gives them $180 billion now to pay off their bills, to pay off the people that they were involved with their criminal syndicate of credit default swaps. They end up giving UBS $5 billion of America's tax money that came into AIG from the U.S. government to bail them out ostensibly, supposedly to help Americans somehow. But AIG turned around and gave $5 billion to UBS the same week that UBS is paying the U.S. government a $750 million fine for being caught aiding tax evaders.
Isn't Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, net, UBS gets a $4.25 billion gift from the American public for being caught aiding people to evade taxes. That's the problem is just not that there's a lack of justice. The problem is that there's a psychosis involved at the highest levels of the banking system, where you've got like Caligula in charge of these banks. They're psychotic thugs. That their moralities are they're not losing morality. It's not moral hazard. It's moral vacuum. They're psychotic. They think they can get away with this. It's absurd. But there are a couple of other examples where these bankers, you see that they've become, like this Caligula capitalist, as I call it. Just recently, there's these huge protests in London against the hedge fund industry. People are on the street. They're protesting against the hedge funds. They're outside the Bank of England on Threadneedle Street in London. The bankers are waving 10-pound notes out the windows, trying to incite the protesters to commit violence. Why? Because they had made bets on online betting exchanges as to how many protesters would be injured or killed during the demonstrations and protests. So here you have bankers trying to incite people to get killed because they've got a bet on the exchange of how many people will get killed.
Do you remember when the Pentagon wanted to create a hedge fund on when the next terror attack was coming to make money off of it?
Well, if you go back to John Poindexter, he introduced something called the Policy Analysis Market, PAM, which is based on my technology, the virtual specialist technology, which you mentioned at the top of the show. It's a patented technology for making a market in events, such as outlined. And my original intent was to do something with Hollywood, but it got picked up by the Pentagon, and they launched this thing, or they tried to, called the Policy Analysis Market, where people could buy and sell securities based on terror attacks. And my point at that time was that you're just encouraging terror attacks. It's like the people, I don't want to get into the whole 9/11 thing, but, people were making bets on exploding airplanes in the weeks leading up to 9/11. Obviously, that's true because the volume of bets against airlines that they were going to explode was increased 10 to 20 times. So it was no secret that people were making bets against them. What turned out to be they were making bets against themselves. But you see this type of moral vacuousness where these bankers are actually destroying themselves. They're destroying their own economy because they've become psychotic. The embezzlement and the fraud has run into levels that are not beyond just what Mike Milken did back at Drexel Burnham. It's become a whole nother magnitude. You have Goldman Sachs, of course, very famously last year sold bonds to municipalities while at the same time selling short those bonds, attacking their customers. You have the example of Armor, a company called Armor Plating, I think the name is. They make material for soldiers and U.S. soldiers in Iran, Iraq. They couldn't raise money last year because the hedge funds were selling the stock short. They were killing the stock. They were selling the stock naked, which means you're selling stock that doesn't exist. You're selling counterfeit stock. The company couldn't raise any more money, and as a result, of course, U.S. soldiers were in harm's way because the hedge funds thought that their profits were more important than the lives of the U.S. soldiers. And again, it's the divine right of hedge funds. It was a company called Force Protection, Inc.
Stay there, Max Keiser. Stay there. This is just amazing. And everything he's saying is documented on record. That's how destructive, parasitic, carnivorous. It's not just looting. They're killing the golden goose that lays the eggs and all leaving the United States to live in armored compounds in the Caribbean. MaxKeiser.com is his website. My website's Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We'll be right back with him and a state rep. We ran a story Friday and Saturday about regular Army to run checkpoints all over Tennessee with Homeland Security. We ran it last Thursday. By Friday, the governor got involved and said, no, we're not doing this. They're going to have Army, not just the police running warrantless checkpoints, but the Army doing it with the police. And last hour, we played a clip off the news. Representative John Shaw, representative for Tennessee District 80, on the show talking about how upset people were about this and how they got that shot down. And he's on a very important phone call. He'll be joining us, he said, in 1 minute. If not, we're going to move on back to Max Keiser because I got a lot of questions for him on the economy, and he is quite the brain on those subjects. While we're waiting for Representative John Shaw to join us, listen, folks, I need you to get the Obama Deception on DVD at Infowars.com. This film is waking people up big time. This film is changing minds. This film is unlocking people's perspective. Obama is a distraction and a diversion, just like George Bush was. You have the shadow banking system. You have a national security state that's over Europe, England, the United States, that does whatever it wants, whenever it wants, for so long that's what Max Keiser was just talking about. They're so arrogant now, they do whatever they want. I mean, Obama could be an angel, and we say that in the film. Still, the establishment's in control. He's not in control. And so we explain that and say, look, either the bankers get arrested and brought to justice and this madness ends, or they're going to destroy us all financially and then build their world government on the ashes of that. And that's what they plan to do. So please get the Obama Deception at Infowars.com or get the Obama Deception and super high quality downloaded at PrisonPlanet.tv. We got DivX copies to burn to disc to give to people that play on DVD players in high quality. I mean, this is a factory of resistance, an armory in the InfoWar. Get the Obama Deception today at Infowars.com. Expose these criminals while we still have time. We're going into a depression. There's no doubt about that. You can also call toll free to get the Obama Deception, 888-253-3139. That's 888-253-3139. And do we have Representative John Shaw yet? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring Max Keiser up, and then if he comes on later, I'll have him on for like 3 minutes, or I may just cancel him. We've already played the clip of him on air, and I don't have time for this. These state reps are always harder to get than congressmen. Max Keiser, are you back, or did you take a break?
No, I'm here.
Okay, good, my friend. Specifically, what does that sound like to you to have the Army just announce we're going to run checkpoints for Homeland Security in the middle of Tennessee?
Yeah, well, you know, the problem is that because the government is so bankrupt that one of the ways they're going to raise money is by nickel and diming people to death. And so this whole idea of stopping people, searching people, your car is parked 5 inches away from the curb more than it should be, all the CCTV cameras watching everything. This is just a way to raise money, basically. You're nickel and diming people to death. It's just like we're back in the Sherwood forest, and you've got people, trying to get through the forest, and they're constantly being held up. It's all about the money, Alex. It's not about protection or security. It's just another way to reach into your pocket and pull out more money. And these guys who get the contracts to do all these programs are on the same group of people that we're talking about. They're part of this banking and government oligarchy. And the great, I don't know if you've seen this one, Alex, but you really should. There's a great 12-part series on YouTube called Collapse in Argentina, or Argentina Collapse. And it documents the collapse in Argentina and the fusing of the legal system, the banks, and the political system into one, 5 fingers of death, if you will. They just totally reached into the economy and destroyed it through utter corruption. And we're seeing this right now in the U.S. They're following that playbook. This guy, Carlos Menem, of Argentina is really a role model going forward in terms of how to undermine a community. But let's get back for a second to...
well, hold on. That's where I wanted to go with this. Hold on, Max. The IMF and World Bank documents talk about how they go pay off governments. They have the governments not pay the loans back at loan sharking rates. Then the economy implodes. Then they declare police state martial law to further destroy confidence. People riot. That causes even more confidence to fall. Then the offshore banks come in and buy it up for pennies on the dollar. And so there's a method to their madness. They brag. They love the insane looting and the open stealing because they control the national security apparatus. They're in control. They've got the military and the police ready to follow orders. And so the world is their oyster. They're just scorched earth using economics as a weapon to blast the whole world economy. So on its ashes, they can build this new bank of the world.